Hey there, it is Phoenix Amore. So, I'm not surprised some people are putting some of this information out there because we have that supermoon and all these big planetary things happening on the 31st. Usually you'll notice the energy start to shift 3 days before, 3 days after. But now it's one of those things where some women are going to have to look in the mirror, face the music on some stuff. Now, when I say have to, it's because of the things breaking through. So I pointed out something when I said there's this whole trend that they tried to make, supposedly being feminist. And you had some of the more traditional, quote unquote, feminists try to tell them that's not really feminism. Here is where me being somebody who can see, as they say, spiritually, when I talk about me having pure discernment, this is what I speak on. So while it could have been easy for me to get caught up in this whole thing because I'm deemed attractive, right, by their standards, I could be ripping my shirt off, showing my breasts and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, what I was meant to put out there is God saying sexy has gone too far. Now, a lot of these young girls impressionable. So when I talked about influences, right, from a spiritual perspective, the way that I'm able to see things when I am in that state, right, that meditative state or asleep and God is showing me things, right, it does manifest where when I use that devil card, that's how that looks, right? So on the spiritual plane, that's that pure discernment to where it looks just that ugly. So when they don't get it and I'm like, it looks like this. However, obviously in wakened state, I don't see people's faces as demons and all that. It doesn't work like that. But what you have is people putting it out there. That whole exhibitionist thing, all this stuff that's floating around out there is and has been deemed a mental disorder long time ago. That is in psychiatry. They call it feminism, or however you want to say it. They call it paraphilia. That is basically saying if you need to feel like you need to push the edge, say, to get attention, let's say, or to get sexually aroused, however you want to say it, guess what? That is actually a mental disorder. So here we are all this time, right? People using these platforms to make other people sick. That's what I was trying to explain a long time ago. When you have God himself get involved in the discussion, that's why stuff starts hitting the fan. So all this stuff where these women were saying, oh, we should be able to walk around naked. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's actually a form of paraphilia. You are putting yourself in dangerous situations. Look what it says, sexual deviant, right? And so when I'm trying to break it down to people and I'm trying to explain, or was trying to explain, as to what hip hop had been pushing out so long, right, as far as the lyrics are concerned, you're actually making people sick. That's what I was trying to explain to you guys, literally, right? It's a psychiatry thing. So naturally you have all these girls that got into the pornography. It's just what I said when they've been enticed, right, with twisted empowerment. You'll be able to pay your bills. You can make X amount of money. And what did I say? In came this grown rapper woman saying if she could have done porn, she would have done porn. And I'm looking, I'm saying, you know what? That is how they ended up mind effing some of these girls. And then, of course, somebody like me who's trying to point it out, suddenly I'm a hater, right? So when you think about somebody who's in denial, let's say even a drug addict, right? They get into these points where they're in denial, all right? And so when you have to kind of step back until they're ready to face it, that's what the hardest for people to do. So now you have a society more aware of how some of these girls ended up sick. And that's what you have to call it when you're dealing with any sort of mental disorder. So no matter how people tried to mask it all this time, right? And they're like, oh, Adam and Eve were in the garden naked and all that. Do you not understand that serpent is busy? That Lucifer is always busy. So he's trying to even make you forget this is not the Garden of Eden. This is 2018. And the whole reason they had to put on clothes when they got kicked out of the garden for being disobedient is because that is man being more in touch with, right, the sexual aspect to it. At that point, think about it. That's like God saying, you're in Lucifer's dominion, right? You're not in the Garden of Eden. Lucifer has no loyalty. So if you want to try to fool yourself like this world is Eden and all that kind of stuff, do you? But understand something. That is a form of a mental disorder. Look it up. That's all I'm going to say on this topic. Be blessed.